This is going to be like a sweet and sour episode of Emergency Rant. Of course, I am your host, Bezoslice. Let's get it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
This is Emergency Rant with Bezoslice, your signal to vent, shout, and set it straight.
All right, so last week we had breaking news. I did mention to you guys about Harbaugh when he was let go of Baltimore, being surprisingly fired by a lot of people, and obviously we all said he was going to be hot commodity. I was one of the guys that I said, look, I said on the episode that if Harbaugh wants to come to Miami, it will happen. Well, it didn't. Congratulations to the New York Giants. They got their man. As of the recording a couple days ago, John Harbaugh has signed about what it looks to be, according to Adam Schefter, about a 4 or 5 year deal. He will be the highest paid coach in NFL history, or one of the highest paid coaches in NFL history. So the question now lies, what does the Miami Dolphins do? Well, they have had a couple interviews. They've requested a couple people. So let's go down the list. Let's talk with former Miami Dolphin defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. Former player, defense coordinator, I meant to say, and former Miami Dolphin Patrick Graham. They've requested an interview for the defensive coordinator of the Rams, Chris Shula, defensive coordinator of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Anthony Campanelli, also former Miami Dolphin coordinator as well. Offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, Joe Brady. Defensive coordinator of the Chargers, Jesse Minter. Offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks and his dad, being Gary Kubiak, Clint Kubiak. Defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, Jeff Hafley. And, of course, you have former head coach and two-time NFL Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski, as well as Robert Saleh. So, as of the recording, the Miami Dolphins have, according to my sources, have officially interviewed Robert Saleh. I just received a text from my source, one of them who has indicated to me that 100% confirmation the defense coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers has just concluded his interview with the Miami Dolphins via Zoom, not in person. And then also Jesse Minter, as they are both going to still be in the playoffs for this upcoming weekend. So, Robert Saleh, let's break down what I feel in my heart of hearts. I told you guys last week, I think the guy that I would love would be Chris Shula. I think Shula would be a fantastic pickup for the Dolphins. But then again, that's if Shula, obviously he wants to be a head coach. Miami cannot afford a head coach who's a big name like Stefanski. As much as I would love Stefanski to be the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins, the reality is I don't think it's going to happen. I think that now that Atlanta and Tennessee, who were also the favorites to land Harbaugh, according to multiple reports, and they were in line, they actually interviewed with Harbaugh. Tennessee did not. Tennessee was actually setting up to do a scheduled interview, but the Giants did not want to let it go. I reported this last night at around 11 o'clock last night, and I did indicate to a lot of people that Harbaugh was going to the Giants. So Tennessee is going to look long and hard. We're going to get to the coaches, the vacancies. You also have the possibility of Matt LaFleur, who's trying to get a contract extension, but according to Adam Schefter of ESPN and all their sources, it's on and off negotiations. However, there might be a resolution by the end of this week. Now, if LaFleur becomes available, then there is a very good chance that LaFleur will be a Harbaugh situation where every coach is going to put everything on freeze. And honestly, for the most part, I think that is why, with the exception of the coaches that are still coaching this season, in the postseason, that is the reason why people have not named the coaches that are vacant, i.e., for example, Mike McDaniel and Kevin Stefanski. So the reality is that you are going to see an influx of coaches once we know what's going on with Matt LaFleur and after this weekend. 49ers are extremely banged up, so there's a strong possibility that Salah would be available after this weekend, considering the fact that the 49ers have a daunting task ahead of them with the depleted injuries, and they're pretty much crossing the finish line, just barely walking on two legs. Minter would be an interesting pickup. Now, notice here that the Dolphins are going more defense this year. Patrick Graham, Chris Shula, Anthony Campanelli, Jesse Minter, Joe Brady. They're all defensive-minded head coaches. The only ones is Stefanski, Joe Brady, and Clint Kubiak. Those are the only ones that are offensive-oriented. Now, according to my sources, they do indicate to me that they don't have a clear-cut person right now. Harbaugh was the guy, but they had a feeling that because of the cap hell that they're in and with the Tua Tagovailoa situation, the Dolphins were not looking like the prettiest car on the lot, for lack of better words. So if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I think that the Dolphins are going to go with a first-time head coach. I think they're going to take that route again because you go with a veteran. This is not a report. This is me telling you. And speculating. I think they're going to go with a first-time head coach. They're going to look for somebody who's going to be a little more affordable. There's nothing going on against the cap regarding in Miami, but no head coach wants to go into a situation like this and having to try to figure things out on their own. So you could take Stefanski out of that picture. I think that, the Dolphins obviously already honored the rooting rule. They've already interviewed 2 minority head coaches already. Or coaches, I should say, for the head coaching job. I honestly think that Salah would probably be the dark horse for me. Shula, because of his grandpa's history and his dad's history with the Dolphins. And maybe a former player such as former coach or player such as Campanelli and Patrick Graham. There's one other guy that I would love for the Miami Dolphins to give. I'm just looking this up so I can say his name correctly. I would love, if there's anybody that I would love for the Dolphins to hire as the next head coach, I would love for Miami to actually, if we can't get Shula, I would love for the Miami Dolphins to bring back Matt Burke as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Matt Burke is the defensive coordinator of the Houston Texans. Ryan D'Amico, the head coach of the Texans, is not running the defense. He gave the play calling to Matt Burke this year. The Houston Texans are looking like the real deal this postseason. And honestly, a lot of people are saying that it could be Seattle, a collision course between Seattle and Houston in the Super Bowl. Now, of course, Houston played Pittsburgh, and we all know that Aaron Rodgers is one more snap away from being involved in AARP. But besides that, I honestly think that I can honestly picture Matt Burke, who is a candidate for the Arizona Cardinals job, by the way, as the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins, or next person to become a head coach. My apologies. So let's go down the list of guys that are available and teams that have head coaching vacancies. Start off with the obvious elephant in the room. The Giants taking off. They got John Harbaugh. Congratulations to them. They got a really good head coach. I think, and I said this on my show last week, I did say that I think the Falcons and the Giants, mainly the Giants because they have a better quarterback situation. They got a ton of cap space. They got a really good nucleus on offense. This could be a team that could be very dangerous next year. I'm not saying that they're going to be Super Bowl contender, but this team will be a playoff contender next year. Let's start off with the Arizona Cardinals. I think that the Cardinals have been a wild card when it comes to getting coached. The Cardinals have the same situation as the Miami Dolphins in the sense that they have not a good answer at quarterback. I honestly think that Vance Joseph will probably become the next head coach of the... It's either going to be him or Jeff Hafley to become the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Regarding the Atlanta Falcons, I think the Falcons are going to hire Kevin Stefanski as the next head coach. The Falcons are going to throw a lot of money Stefanski's way. I don't think he's going to turn that off. Baltimore, I'm going to throw out here a wild card. I'm going to say Brian Flores. He did interview for the Baltimore Ravens job, and I know they flew in Mike McDaniel. I think Brian Flores will become the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. He's been consistent with his defense in Minnesota the last couple of years. Yeah, I say Brian Flores. For the Browns, I want to say Mike McDaniel, but I think Clint Kubiak will be the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Clint Kubiak, I think he's a hell of a offensive mind. I think he deserves to be a head coach somewhere. The Raiders, who knows? They obviously want somebody who's going to be offensive minded. You could definitely see a Clint Kubiak situation over here as well. If I'm the Raiders, actually, you know what? I don't think Brian Flores is going to be the next head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to give that one to Anthony Weaver. And I'm going to give the head coaching job, Brian Flores, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. As far as the Raiders are concerned, I could see Robert Saleh staying on the West Coast and being the next head coach of the Los Angeles Raiders, forgive me. And then Tennessee, I could say it would be Mike McDaniel. I think McDaniel is on there. I would say long shot possibly would be Cliff Kingsbury. So maybe Matt Nagy, I don't know. But yeah, those are my decisions. And as far as the Dolphins, I would say Chris Shula. I would love Chris Shula to be the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins. And I think a lot of people would agree with me on that.
What is up, virgins and virgins?
Who's Brad Pitt?
What?
What is up, virgins and virgins? What is up, virgins and virgins? Coca-Cola, fuck yeah! Oh my God, he's riding it!
That's unreal.
What?
on me, come get me.
That's a threat.
To me?
Look at that. Quicker than DoorDash.
I'm not a virgin no more! The storm took my butthole, no kidding! Cocaine cola! Fuck yeah!
All right, guys. So let's switch gears. We're going to be ending the show in just a moment here, but it is obviously we are a couple days away from the big game. As you can see in my background, I got the boys from the 305 playing in the national championship. First time in a very long time. And they are facing a very good football team. The number one football team in the country. The Indiana Hoosiers. Led by Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza. I do know Mendoza's dad personally. I used to work with him a long time ago. I met his son before. Really standout kid. And I wish him well. As a Cuban American, I can honestly say that I have a lot of pride in the sense that you have a head coach who's a Cuban American in Mario Cristobal, and you got a quarterback who won the Heisman, the first Cuban American to ever win the Heisman Trophy. And they're playing in Miami, where, if you don't know, Miami's predominantly Cuban. So it's going to be a very proud moment for people of Cuba. Real talk. Having said all that, I'm cautiously optimistic about this game. I can honestly picture the Hurricanes losing this game, but I can also see them winning this game. I think the Hurricanes, there's no argument from anybody on the side. The Hurricanes are the more talented team on paper. But Indiana is very well coached. I'm going to tell you this right now. I think it's going to go down to the trenches between the offense and the defensive line. I think whoever wins that battle on both sides of the ball is going to be the team that's going to win. I know that's not saying a lot, but hear me out. The Hurricanes have been dominant on the defensive line for the most part this college football playoff season. Actually, as a matter of fact, arguably, they've been the best offense and defensive line in the college football playoffs, and it's not even close. Indiana's been the second best one. But I think that if the Hurricanes can put their hands around Fernando Mendoza and put pressure on him, I really do believe that the Hurricanes can win this game. So I am picking the Miami Hurricanes to win this game. I think it's going to be very close, and I'm hoping that that is the case. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching Emergency Rant with your boy Bezoslice. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Chat on the comments who you think is going to win national championship between the University of Miami and the Indiana Hoosiers. Congratulations to both teams, my alma mater. I'm going to go with my alma mater. That's never going to change. I'm always going to throw up the U. That's never going to change on that perspective. Let me know in the comments who you think is going to be the next head coach that is going to get a head coaching job in the National Football League, or anything else you guys want to share. We love to hear what you guys have to hear. We've been reading your comments and your feedback, myself and my producer, and we really appreciate everything you guys do. With that being said, I'm Bezoslice, signing off. See ya. It's all about the U.